Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. My God.
Good morning, Bellows Falls and Rockingham, and welcome to the feed. Here we are, it's April 7th.
Cruising right into
We're
spring.
cruising right into spring, the first show of April. As sometimes happens, as the best laid plans of Mike and Marty, we go out and we book these shows ahead months in advance, and then the day before someone doesn't show up. So today,
It's just us.
it's just us. So we're going to throw caution to the wind. And
That's why you get those
having
papers
spring,
out.
and we're flinging for spring fling. And so we're going from having a well-planned show to making it up as we go along.
Yeah, which we've done in the
We've
past.
done-
You may have
and
never
I think we
realized
do
we were
well.
doing that, but we were winging it.
So, Marty, how's it going?
It's going good. I should ask you how it's going now that you've entered a new decade.
Oh, yes, thank you.
You very carefully avoided being on the show last week.
Although, to be truly honest, I wanted to have my birthday. My birthday was Wednesday. We normally broadcast on Wednesday. And I really wanted to have Floyd be on the show on my
your
birthday.
birthday.
That would have been fun because those are, for me, some of the most fun shows we do is when Floyd is on it. And it was fun. But
It was
on
a very
Tuesday.
fun show. And shout out to Floyd because we love our new theme song.
Yes, it's amazing. Thank you, Floyd. And it's a great theme song. It catches in your head.
It does.
You will be humming it all day.
You'll be saying Mike and Marty, Mike and Marty, all day long.
So, what else is happening? Big news. We're both
We're both vaccinated now.
fully vaccinated.
Yep. I don't know I had the Johnson & Johnson. I don't know what the wait time is to be.
I think it's still two.
Is
I
it
think
2
for
weeks?
both it's like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, I got the Moderna, finished up with that, and Marty got the Johnson & Johnson, so she's finished, and so we're starting to plan where to go.
We are. Actually, the governor came on. I'm not sure what day he came on, but he did
was on
talk about,
yesterday.
was it yesterday that was the
Yeah.
phased? So it's called Vermont Forward Roadmap to Recovery. If you want to look at the actual phases and get the details, you can go to vermont.gov. Or you can actually go, if you want to watch him talking about it, go to WCAX and just put in Google WCAX.
Drink lots of coffee.
Drink lots of coffee and watch the press release. So the goal with Vermont Forward is a phased return to normal. So with the idea of unrestricted travel, fully operating businesses, and event gatherings. And it's all based upon what percentage of Vermonters are vaccinated. So you can do your part by making sure you sign up and get your vaccine.
Because it works that
There's
way.
benchmarks. Like this Friday, they're going to estimate that 45% of Vermonters are vaccinated. So phase 1 will begin. That's where they're allowing outdoor, like farmers markets to open up, outdoor events and things like that. They're going with all of these events now, there are all of these phases till we get to phase 3. They're doing what they're calling universal restrictions. Whereas before they had restrictions on each sector, now the universal restrictions are basically what we've all been dealing with masking, social distancing, safe hygiene, all of those kind of precautions. When we get to phase 2, that's where they're estimating 60% of Vermonters will be vaccinated. Again, everything will be in universal restrictions. Restaurants will open, fully open, hair salons fully open, health and fitness centers, all of those type venues are fully opened. And then the hope is by July 4th, we'll go into phase 3, which will be pretty much everything fully open, and then masks would only be then a recommendation.
Yeah.
And then the goal with this phased reopening is to try to get to a level of managing COVID in the same way that we've always managed the flu, the regular flu.
Yeah. I think that's at least that's the vibe I'm getting. It seems like every couple 3 weeks now there's a new mutant variant that's coming out. So it sounds like going to be similar to the flu, that it's never going to go away. It's here now. And so it's like there's a base of COVID out there that's always going to be around, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And
Right,
either through vaccination or
and
whatever.
I think, vaccination, they've stated with all three of the vaccines that it doesn't necessarily 100% guarantee you're not going to get it, but it does guarantee you're not going to die from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the same principle with the
Well, the
regular
flu-
flu
well,
and the flu
yeah.
shot, is that, getting the flu shot can lessen, I think they always talk about that. It might not mean you don't get the flu, but it means
It
it lessens the
lessens the symptoms,
severity. So
yeah.
it's the same,
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing. So it's definitely important for Vermonters to go ahead and sign up. And you and I both had really quick and easy experiences, I think.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, you said those shots stung, but I actually didn't feel much of the shot at all. But I'm significantly older than you, and so they say that the older you are, the less active your immune system is, and then the less reaction you get from the shots, which is interesting because I don't know if you remember, because I think back to, remember we did that show with Jesse Haas about the Spanish flu, and they talk about how it affected young people more because their immune system, and it's so many parallels to the, it was, their immune system was so much more reactive that they
So much
died
more
from it when
robust.
older people
Right,
didn't. Yeah.
Right. So I know a lot of people get kind of, I don't know what the word is, anxious when they think they have to
Yeah.
go online and sign up. So you can call.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think that's heavily advertised enough, that you can call 855-722-7878 to make your vaccine appointment. You don't have to do it online. You might have to wait a little bit when you call, but they'll navigate you through
Yeah.
it. And when we went to Grace Cottage, they were doing 300 vaccines that day. So I mean, they're really pumping these vaccines out.
Yeah, and I did Walgreens, and they were the same level of efficiency. And then I found out, actually, after I got my shot, I was sitting around talking with some people I knew, and they had Walgreens will actually email you and tell you when their appointments are available, so that you can.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It was like, well, we're doing this, and we have appointments opening. Do you want to make? Do you want that appointment?
So
And
you
then-
can move your date up sooner, or
Yeah.
get your appointment sooner?
Well,
Nice.
for your first one,
The
you have
first
to
one.
wait, so
4
long.
weeks for your
But
second.
when they do it, they schedule both appointments, so
Mhm.
you're all, once you get into the system, you're all set.
Yeah, so it's pretty quick and easy. And I think that's considering, I keep thinking back to last year. Like,
Huh.
where were we last year? I think last year this was about the time that we finally started doing the feed again.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
Well,
Everything was shut down.
everything was shut
and
down. It was
everyone
like
trying to
everything
figure
went dead
things
silence
out.
and figure things out. And then, slowly we started. I think actually Floyd was I think he was our first guest.
I think you might have been.
And because I know early on we definitely had Amy Howlett,
Mhm.
and she's coming soon. So I don't think I ever thought that we would be within a year or a little over a year, kind of with the ability to go back to
Yeah,
normal.
Back to, I hate this, I think it's back to what it's gonna be, and it's
Right.
really not as bad as it's, like, we were talking a little bit about where you can go. There are places you can go eat now, different places you can eat outside, and it's really not bad. I mean,
Well, I think that it'll be interesting. Like, how many people? I'll be curious. Like, will they feel comfortable in going into a restaurant? There'll still be maybe a little bit of trepidation, but
yeah. I've been to 2 restaurants in the last month, in indoor eating,
Mm-hmm.
and both places. One was McLoman's in Chester, and I don't know if people are familiar with it, but it's designed to be a small pub. It's about the size of PK's, really. But they had a downstairs meeting area that they never used, and they just switched their bar downstairs, opened all that out,
nice.
and it's like the tables are at least 8 feet apart, or more, 10 feet apart. And so it was really pleasant, and it was well done, and you didn't feel like you were, close enough to anyone that you would have that problem. And then the other place was down in Manchester. We went to a place called, I can't remember what it was called now, the Copper Grouse or something, one of those. And it was a similar thing. It was a really big area, and the tables were all spread out, and we ate, and it was very safe and not intimidating. But I hear McLoman's is starting last summer they had They have a deck, and they had dining out there by reservation. I think they're starting that this week too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that'll maybe people will dip their toe in and go to outdoor
Yeah,
dining
yeah.
before going in to full-on dining. But I certainly hope that everybody, as much as they can, their economic circumstances allow, to go out and to visit restaurants,
Yeah,
because they were
support.
I think they were
Yeah.
the hardest hit.
Yeah.
Restaurants and music venues and art
Yeah,
venues.
and maybe, I don't know what, I've seen buzz on Facebook about the Opera House, and because as these things come into play, the Opera House could be open before we know it. too.
Right, because I mean, like I said, if everything goes as they're predicting, and that's one of the big things they're saying about this vaccine, is it gives them a level of predictability that they didn't have before.
Yeah,
That and the fact that we're definitely doing way more testing than we were doing in the beginning, and much more contact tracing, so they can isolate if there is an outbreak, they can isolate it because they can figure out the source. Whereas before it was more random. So yeah, by July 4th, essentially unrestricted travel, businesses in full operation, and events, and so
Yeah.
everything would be back. So it would be able to have movies at the movie house without 6 feet apart. And I mean,
Right.
I'm sure it'll be interesting the first time you go to a movie, and people will probably be sitting a little further away
well,
from.
I think
away
it's
from
set up
people
that
than
way.
normal.
As I remember, we went, what did we go to? I forgot. We went to the premiere of, now I've lost it, but anyway, we went to the theater, and it was,
Oh, we did. We went
Yeah.
to the Honey, I Shrunk the.
yeah,
the-
Honey, the Demon Stole My Kids.
Right, and yeah,
And
it was
they had it set
definitely.
up really well. Yeah, it was.
But I
it was
think
good.
if I'm understanding all these phases, that won't even
Yeah.
be an issue.
And you can still rent. I see that you can still rent the theater for the night, which I like that idea. Maybe we'll do that sometime. Anyway, Sue and I testing the waters. We went off last weekend, did a trip down to Massachusetts. Turned out to be it was an out and then back without getting out of the car. This is our new safe techniques. But we went to this American Heritage Museum that I'd heard about it's in Hudson, Massachusetts, and it was another neat place because it's huge. It's like an aircraft hangar sized place, and there were 10 or 15 people, maybe, if that many. And so everyone was spread out, and everyone was wearing masks, and it was a lot of fun. And I got a clip, and we can go to that. I'm sure Marty will be really interested in.
Wait.
This is like right in your
It's
wheelhouse.
right in my
Marty.
wheelhouse.
And we can go to clip.
The fighting was relentless. The stalemate would only be broken by sending our boys into a fusillade of lead that, for many of them, meant certain death. Even now, I hear our ambulances, the lorries, the horse-drawn carts, all bringing a new wave of casualties to us.
T-34 with Soviet Third Tank Corps. We are inching through fog that blankets valley between the Danube and Vistula rivers. Our goal now is to drive Germans all the way back to Berlin.
Our crew has not slept, but we have discipline. We mean to spot the enemy first and strike quickly.
Was ist los? Up ahead. Ja, tatsächlich. Russian tanks.
Wilhelm, do you see this?
Jawohl, Herr Kommandant. T-34s.
How many?
I come vorher, Kommandant.
Sehr gut. They can see us through this fog. Steady. We have the beast caged. Don't rush the shot.
Crank the turret. Crank faster. Don't let the crowd picks fire on us from the front. Don't let them.
It attempted to cross Poland's narrow Charnanita River. Well,
So there you have it.
I can check it off my bucket list now.
Well, you can't check it off till you go. It really was fun. And I have to shout outs to Sue for being such a good sport and going. She actually has an interest because her mom and her dad were both in the military during World War II, and a lot of the vehicles and things that they had there were of that period, and so.
Now, were they the actual vehicles, or were they replicas?
No, they're the actual vehicles.
And they just restored.
They restored them to the to this, and yeah, they restored them to they look like you could drive them out. And I understand in the summer they have events in the summer where they actually drive the tanks.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and you can, if you have enough money, you can get in one of the tanks and drive
If
it
you have
around.
enough money, you can do anything.
Yeah, so if you have enough money, you can do it. But they also have that was the tank part, but I guess there's also an airplane. They had a couple airplanes in there, but I guess they have a whole other hangar that they open up in the summer that has period airplanes, and then another big garage section where they have like classic cars like Duesenbergs and
Oh, neat.
yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you can, it's sort of interesting, and I don't know, because I'd never been into a museum like that wasn't like a government-run museum, like the Smithsonian. I've been to the Smithsonian, and I have to say that the displays at this were, some of them were better. I mean,
Really?
they actually had, they had some tanks and some things that were in significant events, and they had the names of the people that were there and memorials to them.
Oh,
And
nice.
so it's
Is
sort
that
of
the seemed like there was sometimes some video going on in the background. Is
Yeah,
that what
yeah.
that
They
was?
had,
Okay.
and that was another sort of interesting thing is they'd have these dropped down screens as you went through, and they would show a video of what was, what this tank was involved in, or what this airplane was involved in, or there's actually, and it goes from basically World War I up through the present, and they had some displays from 9/11. I don't know if you ever heard that there was actually airplanes scrambled on 9/11 that would have had to ram the hijacked airplanes because they didn't have ammunition.
Oh,
And
wow.
they had a little film about, they interviewed those two pilots and what they were thinking and what they had to do, and it was pretty amazing.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the nice thing about maybe things opening back up is we can go
Oh,
we
yeah.
can go find those little gems around here and go on day trips and leave the state of Vermont and
Yeah, that's the thing.
and go out and do. We call it. When Bill and I go on, we call it going on adventures.
Yeah,
just hitting the road,
exactly.
being able
It
to
seems-
stop, and I mean we still have taken a lot of rides and stuff, but we couldn't stop at the little tiny coffee shop here, or the little restaurant there,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
going and exploring the state. It'll be nice to be able to do that again this summer.
Exactly, and I really think that that's going to be, and maybe, I don't know whether it's because we're locked up for a year, but it was really a lot of fun. I appreciate it more now than I did.
I think we're going to appreciate a lot of things more
Yeah.
than we did. I think we were kind of we took a lot for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did for sure.
Yeah.
The ability to just go to the store and buy what you wanted and not have it. Like I remember,
Well, I know.
you couldn't get flour, you couldn't get.
I hear this morning there's going to be a ketchup shortage.
Why is there going to
Seriously.
be a
I'm
ketchup
like,
shortage?
I have no idea. It was like, why was there a toilet paper shortage?
Well, that was
it's all over the
understandable.
news this
Yeah.
morning.
But why are
There's
people
gonna be a
hoarding ketchup?
in those little packets too. You can't get the little packets of ketchup.
Well, because I've had to use all the little
I
packets
probably
because
shouldn't have
of.
said that. I'll probably start a run,
Probably.
a panic on ketchup packets.
I'm going to go this afternoon to Lee's house. There'll be no ketchup on the shelves.
Isn't that a weird thing?
That is
All
funny.
these strange things, toilet paper and ketchup and.
Well, just the weird things that you could, or the little things that you didn't think about, you took so for granted,
Mhm.
and you couldn't go do it, or you couldn't go get it, or you couldn't find it, or you had to plan to go do it, like plan to go to the grocery store at a time when you thought it might be quiet and not just run. I don't know. It was a lot of mental work.
It was, and a lot of odd interactions, I guess, because I never thought I would meet Chris Miller at a restaurant, or was actually at a place to eat, and have her tell me how much toilet paper stock she had.
I'm sure Chris will love the fact that you've given
I
that little
was
secret
sharing
away.
it out. But she was secure in the fact that,
She had plenty.
she didn't have to worry.
Nice.
Not that she'd overdone. I'm not trying to say that she was
Nice.
hoarding or anything.
Nice.
The other thing that, speaking of Mrs. Miller, I hear the pie sales are back.
Oh, all of that stuff will happening.
Yeah.
The pie sales
I
as
missed
far as
pie
the
sales.
Walpole Green, or just pie sales in general.
I think they were at, was that the, what church
Walpole
is it?
Commons, one of the churches.
Yeah,
over there,
yeah. And
So
I
they'll
heard
do
that
their
maybe
summer
there was
music.
one this Sunday.
Oh, that's right. They used to do them sometimes on
Yeah,
Sundays.
yeah.
How quickly we forget.
I know, but we're gonna have to get back up on that
I know, 'cause
schedule
she has the crazy
'cause you
yummy
can't-
chocolate cream pie. That
exactly
gets
that you
die
have
for.
to reserve ahead of time.
You do have to reserve ahead of
It's
time
like,
because she sold it before you even
World
get over
Series tickets or something,
there. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. So we are down to about a minute and a half.
Okay, so one of the things we wanted to talk about before is, I don't know if you remember, we had Thaddeus Buckley on, was it 2 weeks ago,
It was
3
2 or
weeks
3
ago?
weeks ago.
And he's our new community engagement officer. He reached out to me yesterday and said he's gotten some questions. He would like to get more questions, and he would like to come back on the show and talk about what they're talking about and what the questions are, and answer the questions, and then see if we can't get some more questions.
Yeah, because that's his whole job is to engage with the community. So if you have, I'm sure everybody has questions about
Yes.
police procedure and all of those things. So it'll be.
Well,
a
I
good
know there's a
chance.
big controversy about rolling stops.
Thanks
It's
to
right up there
Alex.
with ketchup.
Thanks to Alex, there is.
Ketchup
yeah.
packages.
Yeah,
but,
Colin was happy we just brought that up.
Yeah, I know.
He rolled his
He's
eyes.
like, oh, not that again.
He did the rolling eyes versus rolling stops.
Anyway, so we have that coming on next week, and then I think Chad's coming on too, right?
Chad Ellingsworth, from the Alumni Association to talk about what's going to happen in 2022, and also to talk about the Terrier Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that I guess another COVID thing you don't think about is without fundraising, all these services associations, which normally raise funds and then give them to athletic associations and to scholarships, and they haven't been able to do that.
Let's talk about. Tell me about it. I mean, we actually with Rotary had a pretty successful raffle, but yeah, we're still looking at how can we can maybe plan some fundraising because we have restrictions or restrictions are going away, so we have some guidance, but. Yeah, so
a lot to talk about. So until then, we have managed to have a great
kill
spring
25
fling.
minutes.
Kill 25 minutes. You were not getting that 25 minutes back ever. So have it.
nor are you, the audience.
Take it easy, and
Bye,
Mike and
community.
Marty will see you next week. Yeah, bye.